Okay, so excellent. We got everybody in here, all signed up. We haven't done one of these online help sessions in a while, but what I'm hoping to do is a lot more of this. So right now, I'm sharing my screen. You should be seeing that, and then hopefully you're seeing me in the little bubble there for the webcam. So I'll be talking you through this. But really, what I wanted to do today is, or the way that these online help sessions work, is that we do, or I do a 15-minute presentation on something that I found recently that's kind of cool. So anyway, today it's ConDoc version 3. We've been working on this for over a year, and we finally released it a week or so ago. And I want to show you just a brief overview of what's new. So I'll go on for maybe 15 minutes or so. And then after that, please ask me any questions. It could be related to what I just showed you with ConDoc. It could be SketchUp, Layout, Lumion, anything. If I know anything about it, I'll do my best to answer it. So oftentimes we get some advanced questions about SketchUp and model organization and just some tricky stuff. And usually this is a good place to sort those out rather than digging through all the forums and trying to find your own answers. So oftentimes I can rattle off an answer off the top of my head, so hopefully I can do that for you today. But first, let's talk about ConDoc version 3. So what's new in ConDoc version 3? Mainly, if I hop over into SketchUp, well, a couple of things. Let's see. Let me get my windows organized. I got my chat panel. And all right. So when I first open up SketchUp, I've got my ConDoc system. So the ConDoc system is brand new in version 3. It is your training wheels. It's your heads-up display that always keeps you on track and in line with our layering standards. So when I talk about our layering standards, we've got like layer 0 is always in SketchUp, and then that's always active, and it can't be deleted. But all of these other layers that we give you, those are all should never be active. One thing that this ConDoc system does that's really cool is if I choose a different layer to be active, it gives me a warning. So if you ever see this warning, all you have to do is click on the ConDoc system icon, and it fixes that problem for you. So layer 0 is always active. If you ever get off layer 0, make sure that you're aware of that. Okay, so next, one thing that's another really cool feature that we've included is if I were to open up a version 2 model. So let's do this. We'll talk about layers. Let me go to my Dropbox here, and we've got our models, and let's go with new construction. All right, so here's our new construction model. So when I open this model, notice that this has all of our old layers. So something that we've updated in version 3 is our layers. So we've taken our architectural and site layers and combined them into one layer type called design. And then we've taken all of our conceptual layers and changed the name of those to ConDoc layers. Now, the reason we did this is we found that there's some confusion with the CONC underscore prefix, and it was confused with concrete oftentimes, and also conceptual. It just didn't really nail it as far as like an admin type layer. So we find that now that we have this product ConDoc, we have all of our admin and descriptor layers under the layer prefix called ConDoc. And then we took our architectural and our site layers and combined those into one layer type called design. Now, you'll see that we have a design mode button and a draft mode button, and some of these layer names could correspond with that too. But really what we're doing, it's not that we're getting away from architecture. We're just opening up the possibility to talk to other specialized fields like interior designers, landscape architects, these different trades, or I'm sorry, these different professions where you would need a specific set of layers, and you wouldn't care so much about, maybe you don't care so much all the building details if you're a landscape architect, and you truly aren't really addressing the site if you're an interior designer. So this way we can adjust the system for those users and really simplify it and address their needs specifically. And so that we can do that under one product with these new layer names. So that's the reason there. But here's the good news, is that if you open up a version 2 model, we have in our ConDoc system upgrade to ConDoc V3 layers. So all I need to do is click that button there, and it renames all of my layers, and I say OK. That's not going to disrupt anything. It just simply switches over to the new system. We even eliminated another layer. We eliminated site furniture, because now you're just going to take furniture make it a group, assign the layer furniture. Double click into that group, select your interior furniture, make it a group, assign the layer interior, select your exterior furniture, assign the layer exterior. So we've essentially simplified our layering system by one layer on this round. So we're always looking for ways to do that. Okay, so that's our layering. Now, the other things that the model level navigator does, let me do a quick save as, throw this on my desktop like that, and we'll call it there. Okay, so some other cool features of the ConDoc system are the complexity meter. You can see that this particular model is hitting a 36. That's pretty reasonable. This model creates all the renderings. It creates all of the construction documents, design packets. So if you're getting into the red zone, really doesn't matter. It's just that giving you an idea of like, hey, if you're all the way up in the red zone, maybe it's time to purge your model or start thinking about where you're getting your components from. Okay, so now we also have our RGB values, our red, green, and blue axis values. So let me go over here. I'm going to close this one, and let's open up a different model here and start going through some of these other new features. All right, so from my desktop temp folder, I'm going to pull open this garage new construction. Okay, so now in here with our ConDoc system on, if I go in here and like, I think that maybe the easiest way to describe this, let's see, if I select my walls here, it says 20 feet, 40 feet, and 17 and a bit high. Now that's slick, but like really, I find that something that's kind of a weird dimension, like a car, this tells me kind of the overall extents of that group so that I don't have to use my tape measure to do that. So that's kind of handy. Now, the true, the two biggest features, or the features that I find to be the most usable, and when I got this first working prototype, I was blown away at how useful the model level navigator was and the design and draft mode buttons. So let me show you what those guys are all about. So first off, the model level navigator, it's all about the ConDoc system. This is going to keep you on track and in line with our layering standards. So if I select my walls container, this is just simply a group. It's a group with my walls inside of it. And then I'm going to double click. So, you see that I've selected my walls. My design walls layer is applied to that group. And in my ConDoc system, it's showing up as walls. Now, if I double click in and I'm going to hide the rest of the model, I'll go to View, Component Edit, and choose Hide Rest of Model. So that way we can kind of isolate what we're looking at. Well, I have two more groups in here. I've got another group that's on the layer ConDoc Interior and another container that's on the layer ConDoc Exterior. So you can see walls, exterior, and then I double click in, and then I build all of my geometry on layer 0. So this is the most simple ConDoc scenario as far as single level new construction. And as you ramp up in complexity, like multi-level new construction or multi-level renovation, where you've got new and existing and several levels, this tool really comes in handy. It's a great learning tool. So that's the model level navigator. It always keeps you informed in where you're at in the model, and also, you know, the layers that you've applied. So it's easy to see when you've disrupted something if you've got some extra categories in there. Okay, so now let's add an elevation. I just want to kind of demonstrate the problem here. So I just added a quick elevation, right? Just like ConDoc always did. And we can just kind of update our elevation there. So here's elevation 1. Now, in order to get back to a place where I can work on my model, I need to go to a perspective view, maybe set my field of view. I need to choose a different style, turn some different layers on and off. Well, in the past, you know, the way that I automated that was by clicking our utility scenes, such as a design tab, and then you can go to camera and choose perspective, and then you could from there go to a layer state like all on or interior or exterior. All right, so what we've done now though is created the design mode button, and when I click on design, it does all those things for me. It turns off my shadows, goes to the specific style. It basically just automates the utility scenes in one single button and forces you to that field of view of 60 degrees, which is ideal for working. So I found that this button was actually a really big help because I'm always going into my layout scenes and checking them. I go in there and I might tinker with them and take a look and make sure that things are showing up right. And I don't want to have to go to camera perspective every time. I just click on design and it bounces me right back out to that kind of snappy work or design mode environment. All right. Now, the biggest deal that we've got here is draft mode. And draft mode is the 2D counterpart to design mode. Essentially, what we've done is embedded 2D CAD right into SketchUp. So this way, you don't have to build all of your details in 3D. Also, you don't have to use other programs to create your details. You can do everything right inside of your one SketchUp model. So check this out. When I click on draft, that snaps me over into draft mode. So this is where I've got my palette of all my different line weights. So you notice that my ConDoc system is showing me the line weight that I'm drawing with right now. So I can go to my rectangle tool and very easily draw on the fine line weight layer. Everything is set up on a color by line weight. So if I look at my layers here, you can see that we've got draft 01 fine and the different colors that are associated with it. My goal with the ConDoc system is to keep you out of the layers panel at all times. I find that's where people get really confused or mistakes can happen is when you choose a different layer to be your current layer, or you start adding layers and you're not really sure why. I promise that with the ConDoc system, we've already ironed it all out and included a layer for everything. I mean, it's not that you can't add a layer if you master the system, but there's a place for everything. And if you just put everything in its place, it all shows up as it's supposed to. So let's keep going here. We've got our fine line weight. I click it again. We've got light, and then we've got medium, heavy, and wide. So you've got 5 different line weights to draft with in draft mode. So we've created some other new tools as well, such as the Match Properties tool. So if I activate the Match Properties tool, it brings up this kind of eyedropper. So I can hover on a layer, or I'm sorry, hover on an entity and click on it. Now I've soaked up that entity's layer properties, and I can click on other layers, or I'm sorry, other entities to apply that layer. The biggest deal with this tool is I can click and drag and assign a layer. This drastically expedites the layering process in 2D draft mode. So let me show you how that looks here. It's really just like CAD when it comes to Match Properties tool. You use all of the same SketchUp drawing tools, and also your 3D navigation tools are limited to 2D. So when I'm in draft mode, I can't orbit. I can zoom and I can pan, but I can't orbit around. It keeps you in this flat CAD style view. So really what this ends up looking like is you might go in here and say, well, I want to match this line weight here. So I activate my Match Properties tool, hold Alt to sample it, and then I can start to click and drag and assign that layer very quickly. This is in very sharp contrast to what it would take to select these lines and then go over here into your entity info dialog, click on the drop down, and then choose a line weight. So we don't want you to have to do that. We want you to be just going, I want to sample from my palette over here and then match your line weights over here. So this works really, really well, very quick and efficient way for drafting your 2D details. The last part of this is your hatch. Let me get to our hatch mode. And so the nice thing about hatch is that when you sample a hatch pattern, either from within your model or from our palette over here, it's not only sampling the texture, it's also sampling the layer. So that's going to assign this surface to be on your hatch layer. And I can tell you that that's definitely a big deal to just not have to tinker around and mess with all the layering and all those drop downs. You move really fast using our Match Properties tool by in our ConDoc system icon to navigate through, choose your line weight, and then match your layers. So these are some extremely efficient tools. And then you saw me just do that now, where if I click on design mode, it snaps me right back out to design mode. I keep drafting or drawing and building and thinking in 3D, and then I go back into draft mode and say, let's diagram and explain some of these unique situations that we've designed. Okay, so then in order to get this detail into layout and all set up with line weights, I need to use our new detail tool. Now, our detail tool, all you do is just zoom in on your detail, click, and it rattles off the 6 scenes that you're going to need to create that detail. So this tool is very similar. If you're familiar with ConDoc version 2, version 1, this is working in a very similar way. We're automating the creation of layers, styles, scenes, attaching all those to your scene, and then we've already created a scrapbook drawing or a ConDoc drawing in layout, which is a scrapbook, so we can drag and drop. So let me do a file and choose save, and let me just make sure we save that as our desktop temp. I'll hop over into layout, and in layout, I'm going to start a new document, and we're going to go with our ConDoc title blocks, which we include with the download. And I'm going to go with our architectural title block. And then you can see here we've got our ConDoc details. So I can drag and drop a 3/4 inch detail here. And then I can drag and drop a 1.5 inch detail here. So this is detail 1. And you can see you've got several different details to choose from. So if you rattle off a bunch of details, it's no problem. Now, all I need to do is go to Document Setup, References, relink this file, just like you do with every other ConDoc tool. So we're going to relink this to our, let's see, what do we call this one? Our residential garage new construction. So let's relink this one to our garage new construction, and that detail 1 scene is going to come in, and everything is rendered as a vector. So the 5 line weights are rendered as vector, which means that they're going to be super crisp, super lightweight. And then the hatch is rendered as a raster. Now, right now, it doesn't look so hot because this particular template is on a lower quality setting. But I promise when you export that, it shows up beautifully. Okay. And also, we're zoomed in at 400% there. So if you look at it at 100%, it's a little difficult to see on the screen, all the different line weights. But we put a lot of time and effort into printing these different line weights at different scales and really deciding what should those line weights be. And so what we've done is we've done a lot of that research for you, all of that research for you. So essentially, a 1/2 inch detail starts at the lower end of the line weight or the lighter end of the line weight spectrum. And as you ramp up to 3-inch details, we ramp up the line weights to be thicker and thicker and thicker as you go up. So that way, if you drag and drop a 3/4 inch equals a foot detail over here, it's easy enough. Everything's going to look the way you want it to. We've really thought about what an architect would put into a 3/4 inch scale detail. And then as you go up here to a 1.5 inch detail, we've thought about that too, and the level of detail you're going to have there, and ramped up our line weights accordingly. It's easy enough just to make a copy and grab another chunk of that. So we don't always have to have a new detail scene for every single detail we create. So you can see how easy it is to start annotating your set. You get it all knocked out. We'll go to our ConDoc annotations. Again, those come with our program, and you're on your way to detailing. So that is ConDoc version 3. If you check out our new trial, if you click on the download trial, it'll take you to this form, enter your email address. We will email you the download for the trial. The trial, there's no true pro trial for ConDoc. We're not able to give all of the tools and all of the templates and everything out as a trial. But what we do is we show you a couple of free tools, and then we give you a few exercises and tutorials to do so that you can practice using the concepts and really truly understand it all before you make a decision. So that really is the point of a trial. So I've created some tutorials to walk you through all that. So essentially, some of the new things in ConDoc, like the ConDoc system, our ConDoc template, and also the perspective tool. those are always free. So you can get on our standards, you can implement our standards firm-wide. This is just a very efficient way to do things to get everyone on the same page, and all of that is free. And then once you've used our system, I think you'll find that pushing those buttons that automate layers, styles, section plane shadows, and attach all those things to your scenes, I think you'll find that the subscription and all of the pro training and all of the support that we give you with that ConDoc Pro license is well worth it. So anyways, psyched to hear your feedback on this. We're also very psyched to have version 3 out there. So that'll kind of conclude my presentation on what's new in version 3. And I suppose at this point, let's open up the chat panel to any questions, and I'll just do my best to answer those and kind of read them off in a tutorial type fashion here.